What's up, guys? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Thank you so much for being here. You know, this show is created to discuss life topics to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And today I have Barbara Lapointe here, and Barbara is a certified divorce and relationship coach. She specializes in inherited family trauma. I want to get into that. High conflict relationships and narcissistic personality disorder. Now, she is the author of Erased by a Narcissist and the co-host of a podcast, Broken Families. Now, Barbara is also an experienced speaker, a gifted artist, and a proud mom of 3. I love that. I love that you put that in your bio, too. That was awesome. So, Barbara, how are you? Welcome to Straight Talk.
Thanks. I am absolutely pumped, excited, and really honored to be here. Thanks for the
Thank
opportunity.
you. Yeah, no problem. And I love that you are already a podcaster, so you kind of know how this all flows. But my audience is a really freaking great audience, and they're constantly like asking questions and getting involved, and I love them for that. So, before we get into all that you do, Barbara, I do want to know a little bit more about you. So, tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure, I'd love to. Well, let's start with the podcast.
Okay.
You mentioned it was called Broken Families, and it's true. We did a season of podcasts called the Broken Families Podcast, and this year we shifted the lens to healing. And so I've rebranded it completely, and it's just me now as the host, and it's all about healing. So healing broken families.
Oh,
And so
nice. I'll write that. Healing.
So yeah, it really opens it up in a beautiful way. Even though I deal with women and teenagers that have gone through trauma, abuse, divorce trauma, narcissists, I still believe that at the end of the day, narcissist is still a label. And at the end of the day, we all have to sort of come back to this remembering that we're empowered to heal from all of that.
Yeah. I really love that you started with that too, because I wanted to ask you about narcissists, right? So I wanted to ask you, first of all, what is a narcissist for those who don't know? Because I feel like terminology today has been like intermingled and mixed up, and people are just using different words for different things now. So can you tell me what is a narcissist?
Yeah, it's such a good point that you just made, because even like 12 years ago, the collective consciousness wouldn't have really known what the term narcissist was. And now it's really integrated into the collective consciousness, meaning almost everyone knows that term, the narcissist, which is different than someone with a narcissistic personality disorder. And they can also more broadly be defined as high conflict personalities. But it's a really hot topic. Millions of people are talking about it on the internet. And I would say that it's very relevant as well, because the High Conflict Institute in San Francisco says that 1 in 25 people will be a high conflict personality, could be a narcissist. So that means we're going to run into a narcissist or a high conflict personality somewhere, somehow, whether it's in an intimate partner relationship or even in the workplace. And they wreak havoc. So how's this sounding to you?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, but to recognize one, like the red flags if you were going to date one, because you said, right, there's some telltale signs. It's so good to be able to recognize them, because then you can empower yourself to slowly back away from them.
Yeah, that's good. Can we touch on that? I would love to know, like, what are some of the key flags that you can give my audience about to look out for? Because that's really important. I think that, to your point, sometimes I think we're really quick to label people, right? So it's good to know that you can have a bad day and not be a narcissist, right? Like, so that's not what Barbara is saying about the personality. So I just want to make sure that we kind of distinguish that, because I have a lot of conversations, which is so fun when you're having all of these conversations with, other podcasters and stuff. And I'm a coach, so I speak to a lot of people, and I just don't like people mixing everything all in one pot. You know what I mean? Like there are different things and different personality disorders and different ways of dealing with things. But I would love to know the flags that we look out for when we are dealing with a narcissist.
Yeah, I kind of it really resonates with me what you just said, because when we label someone a narcissist, it kind of hurts us at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an interesting thing happen before I get to those five telltale signs, where someone said, "But you love your ex-husband?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we have a lot of love as women
Mm-hmm.
for the people that hurt us. And
So
so
true.
there's yeah, and so, like, two things can be true at the same time,
Yeah.
and we call that a paradox. And yeah, I really do still flow love to my ex-husband. He's the father
Right.
of my children. But, I love the term high conflict personality because it just opens it up so much. Because narcissism is a spectrum.
Right.
But it's like, I watched a podcast that you did where you're like, how do you know if you're in a toxic relationship? Well, like, there's a different, very dense energy, a dark energy, um,
Mm-hmm.
a wall that you can't break through when you're with a narcissist, and so you cannot collaborate with a narcissist.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
We'll keep that as number one. That becomes really important in child custody cases or co-parenting. You can't
Mm-hmm.
collaborate or cooperate because the narcissist is in charge and they're always right. So
Right.
that's number two. They're always right.
You're
They're
always
always right. So we just can laugh at that one. The narcissist is always often very grandiose, and he or she loves, and I say he or she, but still statistically, most narcissists are men. And that,
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, I know we think it can be women too, and there are, but statistically, in terms of numbers, they are still mostly men. And it's kind of evolving now. They love an entourage, so they love as we'd say in French, like le spectacle, like the show. Um,
Right.
they love that. So if you're divorcing a narcissist, he's going to have his whole family come. He's going to have like a legal team. He's not, you're not going to. It's going to be a big deal. Uh,
Right.
so the grandioseness, the spectacle. But the most important thing is that the narcissist lacks empathy.
Mm.
And so any woman leaving a narcissist will receive this beautiful target on her back because it's her fault.
Yeah.
And he has to punish her and victimize her. There's a very much an energy of punishing her. So
Mm-hmm.
she has to now not fight against the narcissist, but fight for herself and remove that target from her back.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. You're describing my ex-husband. So funny. But as you're talking though, Barbara, I'm listening to the different points, right? And I'm wondering, is this social media world creating more narcissists, right? This grandiose idea, this grandiose, like everything has to be big, everything has to be bold. People are like, if like we have a disagreement, I have to embarrass you online. Like it's like this thing that's happening, right? And I'm wondering if narcissism is something that can be programmed, you know,
Mhm.
or if it's something that is more like trauma in your youth and that caused it. Like, what do you think about that?
I think that's a really fascinating question. And it goes back to, like, two things can be true at the same time.
Mm,
So, first of all, we know that narcissism begins in childhood, from those
okay.
unhealed childhood wounds
Mm-hmm.
with their mother or with a significant parent that they would have bonded with. It's not like an accident, like all of a sudden they woke up. Like, it's
Okay.
conditioning from an early childhood. But one of the most respected sources on high conflict personalities is the High Conflict Institute in Southern California. And they say that they're seeing more and more high conflict personalities and individuals having problems with narcissists that they've ever seen before.
Right.
And so they attribute that to the social media.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and an interesting point too is that another point about a narcissist is that the emotional intelligence is low.
Okay.
Right? And so sometimes a lot of this social media, um, you know, there could be low social intelligence when we see in terms of things like smear campaigns that
Yeah.
happen on social media all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
smear campaigns also happen just privately with narcissists in courtrooms and in families. I've had both happen to me, and I can tell you they both individuals, the one who did the one that went viral on me on the internet, I didn't know him. Um, that was yeah, and what was my point? They both had low
Yeah.
emotional intelligence
Emotional intelligence. Yeah.
and
Yeah, because like
no empathy,
yeah, I was
right?
just going to say that because you did point out that they don't have empathy, right? Which is part of emotional intelligence. So I can see why that would be, coinciding with narcissism. So can we talk a little bit about why you do what you do? Like, what was it that you've gone through that made you look at this and say, you know what, we have to start healing broken families? Do you have a story behind what you do? Because most of us get into self-development work and helping others because we've been through something, right? And we want to help as many people along as we can. So what's Barbara's story in that aspect?
I love that, Nina, and thank you for that beautiful question because there is real authentic empowerment in sharing our story.
Yeah.
Um, and it's called, and then those of us that have stories that share and they go on to become healers, coaches, so on and so forth. We are the wounded healers. It's actually, we are the wounded healers. So we've probably been through it. And certainly I have been. But the neat thing about my 5-year high conflict divorce with a narcissist and his lawyer was also the most cruelest, unempathetic narcissist. So the two of them together really created a lot of suffering in my daughter's life, my son's life, and my life for 5 years. And we're talking every single day. So to say it was Groundhog Day
Wow.
over and over again for about 3.5 years. I got served on my birthday. I got served on Valentine's Day. I'd get served on my anniversary.
Wow.
And at about 3.5 years, I went, oh my God, like it's been 3.5 years. And then he ramped it up after 3.5 years.
Wow.
So someone said to me, like I just had no idea what was going on. Someone said, he's a narcissist.
Mm.
And then once you realize that I finally had like a gateway to change my communication strategies with him. And there's very specific ways because you can't win with a narcissist. So High Conflict Institute asks us to use the BIF strategy with any difficult high conflict personality or narcissist. So BIF stands for brief, informative, firm, and friendly. Not too friendly, I add that on. But because everything else is just giving them narcissistic supply or
Right.
food. So once I figured that out, I did make it through the last 2.5 years of my divorce, but using these new strategies. I did make it out with my daughter. He had actually filed to remove all of my parenting rights around
Wow.
religion, education, school. So I've spent most of my time being a mother for 21 years and teaching vulnerable children. So, but the narcissist just loves to take it to the limit and punish,
Mm-hmm.
punish. So that was my story. And now, after the last 1.5 years of working with women, I've been coaching since 2013. I saw so many families, so many parents in such deep pain and calling out for help, just suffering because they are not processing the emotional wounds of their divorce trauma or of parental alienation, where they don't get to see their child because their child is with with a narcissist, because most narcissists will instigate parental alienation. And they've been going through this for years and years and years, and they're so bitter and they're so angry, that they're not healed. And
Right.
so that's what I noticed, is a lot of energetic black holes of unresolved trauma and deep, deep, deep pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, I feel really intuitively guided to shift the focus to something really, really wide, which is healing, and that we can all love ourselves, heal ourselves, and evolve our beautiful souls.
Yeah. Yeah. And so let me ask you this, because I think like I'm thinking it must be super difficult though to get a narcissist to go get the help that they need, right? Because they're not wrong, right? They're always right. So I'm wondering, is there hope for someone who is a narcissist? Like, can they be coached through this? Can they be healed through it? You know what I mean? Like, I figured, like, as if you're with somebody who's really a narcissist and they're really damaging to you, first of all, you got to heal yourself, because we all have to heal ourselves. It's really, really difficult to deal with somebody else's, trauma and pain and what they're all going through if we haven't been healed. So I'm just wondering, like, how do we move forward? Like, for instance, for my relationship, I really just cut it off as soon as my child was 18 years old. Done. It's like I cannot deal with this damage anymore. And so and I was much happier for it. But I'm wondering, can a narcissist be helped? Can they be healed? Can they come out of this? Or is this a trait that they will carry forever? What do you think about that?
Straight up talk, no sugar
No
added.
sugar. Yeah.
The data says that these personalities don't often change. It's
Yeah.
very, very low likelihood or low percentage of these personalities will change.
Hmm.
What I often see in my practice and the private group that I host, and experience this myself, is that we have the other part of the puzzle, usually a woman, wanting to change him or fix him.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it just doesn't, it's just so unlikely that it will
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Thank you for saying that. I was wondering about that, because I said, it's extreme. I'm sure that they can find healing. I'm sure that there could be some healing, but I
Mhm.
think that when the personality is your personality, is extremely difficult to flip the switch on that, right? Because first of all, just getting them to the point where they are not abusing someone, or thinking that they're always right, or increasing their emotional intelligence, it's a very difficult thing when you're having that conflict, right? Or when somebody is so resistant to change, right? So, and you're right. I think women have to take a note for themselves and say, why am I doing this? Right? Because a lot of women do want to fix everyone, and we can't. And it's our responsibility, right? As women, it's our responsibility to say, I'm not going to fix anyone. I need to heal me. And that's okay. It is okay to work on you. I think women
Mhm.
need permission,
Yeah,
right?
I couldn't agree more, to just give yourself like this slip of full 100%
Yeah.
self permission to actualize yourself, empower yourself, heal yourself,
Hmm.
speak your personal truth, which is get so squashed down when you're
Yeah.
separating out all the parts from a narcissist. And then just what you said earlier, Neena, is that they're not the types that'll be like, I think I need to go to therapy.
Right.
So that's why we can never get them there to therapy, and they're not going there. I've
Right.
had I've had women that say, "I think I'm a narcissist," and they're going to therapy, and it's like, no, if you're even questioning yourself that you're a narcissist, you're doing that sort of inner
Yeah.
cueing and reflection, chances are you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of gaslighting too, right? So women sometimes take on like it's their fault, or, it's because a narcissist is so very good at flipping the script and making it your fault, that we do end up feeling that way. Are we narcissists, or what's wrong with me, and why? And it's because we're taking on too much of their deflection onto us as if it's true. And we have to think about the gaslighting that goes on here, right? Like you're seeing the thing and they're telling you something different, and you're like, am I going crazy, or is this exactly what's happening, right? So there's a lot that goes on with a narcissist. I've dealt with a few, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and you love them because especially if they're like family members, you love them and all. But I love what you talked about making things very brief and informative, and like just, this is what it is, this is brief, and move on, because it can be very damaging to you, and especially if it's someone you love, a parent, a child, a sibling. It could be anybody, right?
And exactly, and chances are when we have a loving relationship, like a husband or boyfriend with a narcissist, or we're dating one, it's probably not our first one.
Mm-hmm.
And many women find that they go back into their childhood and they go, oh, once my mother was a narcissist, or oh, my father had traits that were a narcissist. So it goes back to that subconscious programming that we received from 0 to 6 with our narcissistic parents, or a narcissistic caregiver in a narcissistic household.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a pattern, like a tree, that you have to kind of shake that tree and dissect back. Maybe narcissism runs in the whole family tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing. But to speak to your point on gaslighting, which happens, with a narcissist or someone on the spectrum, the receiver, our body is our container, and the receiver of that lighting she holds that in her body, and it's stored in her body as unresolved trauma. It's
Mm-hmm.
very painful to be a victim of gaslighting.
It is. It is. It messes with your, like you said, your energy, your emotions, your mind. It really, really does. It starts to make you feel unconfident. It makes you question everything, right? So and then now you need the therapy. You need the therapy. You need the coaching, because they have to get you through all of that damage. You're right. I mean, I don't do like intuitive work. Like, I know that, that kind of work, does deal with the traumas that we hold in our bodies, that or the chronic stresses and stuff like that that we hold. So that's, it's very informative. So Barbara, I want to know how you work with your clients. What is it that you do when your client comes to you? What kind of work are you doing with them?
Oh, sure. Well, it's so important when you're going through abuse that you don't stay alone, that you're not alone in this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And so I started off as a solution-focused coach, which is, a form of psychotherapy, but it's very much about being solution-orientated, and it's a future-orientated modality. So it kind of takes you here and moves you forward to your
mm-hmm.
future of what's possible. Um, but for women who've received abuse and they're holding a lot of, like, just notice how much fear you're holding in your body on a daily basis,
Yeah.
or anxiety, which is tension in the mind. After abuse, sometimes we lose the capacity to even become mindful and be
Mm-hmm.
present in the present moment. So I use a lot of mindfulness techniques and encourage women to have their own mindfulness practice where we just slow down. When you're being abused,
Mm-hmm.
you come right out of your body and everything speeds up, and you're in fight or flight. So being mindful is about bringing all that beautiful energy to this one present moment. Um, that's one example,
Yeah.
mindfulness. And it's also about just allowing the space for all the emotions to have a place to just exist. In society, I feel we're so taught from a young age to suppress our emotional emotions and reject them. And we
Mm-hmm.
suppress and reject them. So building a loving, compassionate mindfulness practice with a coach and then on your own is an incredible way to heal And mindfulness alone could bring you to enlightenment. That's how, just what a powerful portal it is.
I believe in mindfulness too, and and I think that I love that you said bringing all of your emotions, and kind of like being in that space with them, because I feel like life is so beautiful that way because we get to experience all these beautiful things, including pain and fear and frustration, right? Because for me, I believe that then gives you a framework of when you do enter peace and joy. You know what I mean? Like there has to be some sort of resistance for you to realize the gratitude and the blessings in your life and all that kind of stuff. So I love that, because I think that for far too long we have been trying to medicate that, or like push it to the side, or use substance of some sort to push it, when really, if you just were with it, if you just sat with it, you can experience it and overcome it and move forward from it, right? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's so powerful to
Yeah.
just sit with it so that you can overcome it. And the reason why you can overcome it, which most people don't associate with mindfulness, is that as you're slowing down, as you're re-entering your body and having this journey back into your body and experiencing calm, those overwhelming, intense emotions, you're allowing them a passageway to just leave, like, instead of letting them overwhelm you. So it
Mhm.
helps you to regulate your strong, overwhelming emotions. But as you're doing that, you're rewiring your brain. So new neural pathways can form
Hmm.
that you can have a less critical self brain, have calmness. And so, really, you're transforming the relationship you have with yourself. So, I'm going to give you a little example I do quickly. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm just like, I sound like I have multiple personality disorder, but I just go, okay, I check in with myself, I ground myself, I open up my heart space, make sure my spine is straight, and I just I notice the emotions I'm feeling in the present moment.
Mm.
Anxiety, fear, and I try to sort of get a sense of where they're living in my body.
Mhm.
So I'll go like Barbara is feeling so um, lonely right now, frustrated, or whatever those negative emotions, because we're not our thoughts and we are not our emotions, but wherever they're activated. And
Mhm.
for me, if I felt anxiety, I feel it kind of here, like can't breathe, or maybe on my throat. And then I would deepen that and go, what's underneath that loneliness? What's underneath that anger? Or maybe someone just cut you off in traffic and you're still activated about it. And you deepen it. Oh, what's underneath the anger? Oh, it could be grief.
Mhm.
Or,
Mhm.
right. And so you deepen it and you deepen it. And it's so important to name the emotion.
Yeah.
Once you deepened it, you name the emotion. And then put your hand on where it lives. So for many, it might even be down in their stomach,
Mhm.
down in their gut. And then just find and invite and welcome the energy of self compassion to come in, and just be so gentle with yourself, and replace that with a loving, self compassionate gesture. So the anger that is actually grief, that is actually sorrow, as you've deepened it down and you've
Yeah.
named it, that's living in your gut, just be like, well, it's okay. Like, I love myself. And,
Mm.
breathing in self-compassion, breathing in, maybe you're breathing in and you're seeing yourself at 16 or at 5 years old or somewhere along the timeline of your life. And then you just breathe out with like a compassionate smile towards that younger self that didn't know what to do or was
Mm.
abandoned. Because the thing is with narcissistic abuse and divorce is that it strips you right down and it takes you back to your very first hurt, your very first
Yeah.
abandonment.
Yeah.
And that's a special gift in narcissistic abuse is that it takes you to, ground zero. And so I think what women find, and I know I did, is like I had to go back and I had to unpack my whole childhood. So it does give you that gift.
Yeah. That's
Um,
so good. Yeah.
Another thing I realized when I got divorced, I was like, wow, man, I hold so much fear in my body. Like, I'm just so afraid. I'm so afraid of him, his lawyer, losing my kids. I'm afraid financially. You get to confront so much fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so if you can just let those powerful emotions come through you like a wave and leave by slowing down and doing just that process I did, which is a mindfulness practice, 6 times a day, you'll start retraining your nervous system, your body, and
Yeah.
opening up neural pathways for self-love, opening up neural pathways for loving self-compassion.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good, Barbara. I'm a NLP master practitioner as well. So I get the timeline and I get, locating it in your body, sometimes even in color, right? Like sometimes if you close your eyes, you can see that it's red or it's blue or it's whatever. But it's a very powerful practice, mindfulness, just to pause even in life, period. We don't do that enough. And so that's a very powerful thing to do, is just pause, and you'll realize how fast your brain is going or how you tense your body is and all of that. So, Barbara, this was such a really great conversation. Thank you so much for being here on Straight Talk. I really appreciate you coming on. Really do. Thank you.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm glad you're here. But before I let you go, I do want you to tell my audience how they can find you, so how they can work with you, all of that. So if you have your social media handles or your website, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm easily reached at barbara@barbaralapointe.com. And anyone who wants to reach out, I'm happy to provide. I have a self-love kit, and it has a meditation, it has journaling prompts, and a mindfulness practice outline. So all around self-love and mindfulness and meditation. And I usually market it for $33, but it's free just for your audience if they just check onto my website and enter a code. So
Awesome. Awesome. Barbara, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. Oh, and your podcast, what was it called again?
oh,
Healing.
that's too kind of you, Neena. My
Yeah.
podcast is called Healing
Healing
Broken
Broken
Families with
Families.
Barbara
That's right.
LaPointe.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And guys, thank you so much for always being here, always being supportive. You're an amazing community. I will make sure to put all of Barbara's information below so that you can follow her, work with her, listen to her podcast, all that great stuff. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, all of that great stuff. Thank you for being here with us. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.
This broadcast is brought to you by Wincheck Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.